so excited to chat with you, and I'm so happy to have you on the road trip. This is going to be so much fun. So, if you could just start by telling a little bit about yourself and your writing and how you kind of got started and everything, that'd be a wonderful start.
Okay, so I am Pepper Basham, and I write historical and contemporary romance. Usually, the stories are mixtures of my Appalachian heritage. They have humor. They have lots of romance. I love romance, and so I love writing about romance, regardless of the time period.
Oh,
Regardless.
good. Yes.
Let's see. I just recently moved back to where I grew up in the mountains of Virginia.
Wow.
So I am currently living now in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, and I'm glad to be back in this area. It's just an adjustment, as all adjustments are. And then I have five awesome kids.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
so I am work as a speech language pathologist by day. So that's kind of me in a little nutshell. And then, story wise, how I got started, um, I have loved stories my whole life. And I grew up, growing up in Appalachia, storytelling is a really big part of our culture,
Okay.
whether it's family history stories or just whatever. Usually it's family history stories or telling about stories from long ago. And um, I grew up with a grandmother who loved telling those stories, and I loved listening to them. And so I remember probably when I was about 5 or 6, starting to write stories down that I created, and they were, not great, right? You're 5 or 6, you don't even know how to spell, and
Right.
so, but I have this, my one of my first books I ever wrote from when I was 10 years old, and I illustrated it very poorly because everyone had giant noses, and um, I was given at that time, right after I finished that story, my granny bought me this secondhand typewriter, and she was the first one who called me a writer. And so that just meant she gave me kind of a label to what I was already doing, and I'd never considered that. And of course, you don't think it's going to be something you do in the future. It's something you dream about, but it's not going to pay the bills. You're right. It's still not going to pay the bills right now, but it's something that I've always loved doing, collecting stories, sharing stories. And so I kept writing in the nooks and crannies of my life, and started pursuing publication in about 2000 and I think 2008,
Okay.
2009, something like that. Started taking classes before that just to try to learn what craft was. I knew what stories were, but I didn't know what craft. And my first book came out in 2015.
Wow.
So I've been publishing since then. I'm so grateful. It has been such a blast. And I'm so grateful that God keeps putting me with people, publishers, other writers, just people, readers, amazing readers in the community to just help encourage me along the way. So that's kind of
Mm.
hopefully a short little bit about
I
that.
love that. I love that. And how you said too that God has placed you in the right place and with the right people. And I just love that. I love how when God puts a calling on your life, he does put you in the right spot. He connects you with the right people and gives you the story ideas too. So that's just wonderful. I'm glad that you've noticed that.
Well, it doesn't mean it's been easy. There have been
Right.
lots of really, but I think that's true of life, right? There have been lots of hard hits where you're like, is this really, it's so hard. Is this really what I should be doing? Right.
Right.
But like you were implying, when there's a calling on your heart, God is going to equip you, but also provide the way if you're willing to keep pushing through. Um,
Right.
so, there was a lot of pushing through,
Well, I'm sure. Yes.
and a lot of reward that God was just kind of so kind to put in my way that I've gotten to experience. So yeah,
I love that. I absolutely love that. And can you tell a little bit about the book that we are spotlighting for the road trip as well?
we're we're spotlighting Sense and Suitability. Is that right?
I think so. Yes. Yes.
Wait, so let me pull up a cover so
Okay.
you guys can
Sounds good.
see if
It's
you're on.
so great.
So Sense and Suitability is my first Regency romance
So
book.
cool.
I was so excited to get to write it. It was just a fun book to write. Now I'm having a little bit of fear that I can't do it again, so I'm trying to write book two.
Yeah, for the same series.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it's about a kind of a second chance romance. It's taking some of the themes of Sense and Sensibility, if you know Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility.
Yes.
It's not a retelling, but it's the story is influenced by that book, and that book actually plays a part in the story
Oh,
because it's the same year that Jane Austen published it, and so my heroine is reading it, and so that was
cool.
fun to actually bring something like that into a book that I'm writing with the same, hopefully, um, banter and joy and wit. I put a little bit of that in there.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so it is my Viscount, who was not a Viscount in the beginning, has a crumbling estate, and he is taking care of his four younger siblings. And the kids were so fun to write. And then there's Emmeline, who is the love that he had to let go when he became a Viscount because she wouldn't have provided funds for him to be able to save the estate. So now the story works through the two of them still being around each other and still caring for each other, but not being able to be together because she can't provide what he needs. And he has to choose between duty or his heart. And
Yes.
so he has a family to think of. It's not just himself. And so it was really fun to write the kids. It was really fun to write the dueling aunts. I have some dueling aunts in there.
That's
Um,
funny.
yeah, it was just a blast.
I bet that was fun to write. Yes. Oh my goodness. I love that. And so how did that story kind of come to you originally? Like when you first started, well, I guess not first started writing it, but when it first started coming to you.
Um, I really can't remember. I think it just kind of emerged. I have a tendency to, I'm a big movie watcher,
Oh
but I
yeah.
have a tendency to watch the same movies over and over again because I love them so much.
Yes.
And yeah, right.
I'm the
And
same
so
way.
yeah, great, great. So, and it never gets boring. I don't think it's
No.
still
You
beautiful.
have those comfort watches, just kind of like you have those comfort reads, like I can think of five at the top of my mind that I constantly go back to over and over again, and I don't get bored. It's just like visiting an old friend.
Yes, exactly. And you know what's going to happen, but you're still excited to get to see it happen,
Yeah.
right? And so I was having a summer of Austen and just rereading, re-listening, and rewatching lots of Austen. And for some reason, something snagged in the back of my brain while I was watching Sense and Sensibility, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if she was a writer, because I'd always wanted to write Margaret's story from Sense and Stability and
Cool.
make her a writer and an adventurer kind of person. And so I
That's
was like, I
cute.
wonder what would happen if we threw a writer into that world, and everything started kind of uh, meshing together. And let me go back to say, I had never intended to write Regency ever.
Wow,
There
really?
are already way too many amazing authors
Right.
who write Regency and do it such a beautiful job that I'm like, I'm not stepping in there. I like my Edwardian time period. It's one of my favorites. I'll just stay where I'm here, right here.
Right.
And my editor asked me one day, she said, Pepper, you love Jane Austen and you really enjoy that world. Why don't you give it a try?
Oh,
And
cool.
I was like, oh,
He's
that
like,
can't
oh
happen.
no. Yeah.
Like, no, I can't do that. Not Jane Austen.
Oh my goodness.
And so I wrote a couple of chapters and sent them to her, and she was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Let's do it. And so here we
Oh, that is so cool. Oh my goodness. I love that that's kind of where the inkling of the idea started and everything. And two, that you've never really kind of like written in that kind of time period at all, but you enjoyed it and you're doing it again.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm going to try to do it again. It's the
Yes.
important
Oh,
word there.
so when are you starting on the second book in that series?
Yes, yes. I'm going to try to do it again. And I would love, if I can continue to keep the quality that I think the first book is, I would love to continue writing in this genre because
Cool.
I naturally love the world of Austen, more so
Yes.
Austen than I think Regency, but just the way she describes that world. And so if I can keep doing stories where they're kind of lighter Austen, they have more of the
Yes.
romantic comedy feel. but they're still within that same banter, wit, fun, but with some minor, deeper elements.
Right.
I think I think I could. I think I really enjoy getting to do it longer. Let's just see if I can make it through another book.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure you will. You'll get it all figured out. That's wonderful. And when it comes to so writing in two different, extremely different time periods, what have you found to be different that you've liked, that you maybe have learned through this whole process of like writing contemporary and then Regency or Austen time
It,
period?
yeah. um, so I find, of course, that the research for the historicals is much more detailed.
Okay.
I I just want to say a good story is a good story no matter what time period you put it in. And so that's really my main focus is just to write a good story.
Hmm.
But definitely the research is what makes the historicals more a little different, sometimes longer to get prepared for
Hmm.
the story, because you want to have that element. And even though mine are not, I would say mine are not as immersive in the time period as like Julie Clausen, um, but I still want people to feel like they're there.
Right.
So you're still looking at things like, well, what kind of carriage would they have ridden in if they lived in, if they had this much money, and how long does it really take by carriage to get from here to here, or what kind of clothes would this person have worn in this socioeconomic status versus
Hmm.
this person, so you're doing that kind of thing.
Right.
Takes more time than when you're writing contemporary and you're just like, oh, they're gonna wear jeans and a sweatshirt. I mean, seriously. um
Yep.
but but also, I mean, the contemporaries, people can check you on all your stuff with
Oh,
contemporary
yes.
because we have the ability to do that. And so, if I put my books in a place that people know, then there's that, they can, do they live there? They can tell you if you're right or wrong.
Right. Right. Exactly.
But the joy of writing contemporary is that you can make those popular culture references. You can talk about the things that, like movies that you watch. You can have that fun
Pop culture
share.
references, right?
Yes, right. And so
Yeah.
those are fun too. But really, I think it all comes down to a good story and whatever period of time I put it in. And I've found that I'm moving more and more toward writing more comedy,
Oh,
than I
cool.
had in the past. I still want to write some of my Appalachian, more historical, serious stories, but
Cool.
I'm really enjoying that the more comic side of things right now.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Well, that is really cool. I absolutely love that. I love too the idea that you're wanting to lean into like the Appalachian historical stuff too. And I'm interested in hearing about that. And but also too, like with your love for Austen, have you for anyone out there that hasn't read Austen, where would you say is a good start for them when wanting to dig into the world of Austen?
Okay, I have lots of answers about this, okay, and it
Okay.
depends on the person. All right,
Yes.
because different readers need different kinds of input to enjoy a story.
Right.
Um, so people who are really daunted, feel like the time period of Austen and the writing style of Austen would be daunting. I would strongly suggest that you either find a good movie of the a version, so you can watch that first to get the story in your head before you try to read it. Or
Mhm.
I love audiobooks done. I either love the ones that are dramatized, so you
Yep.
get, it's like a movie except no pictures. You're getting to make all the pictures, or it's just a read of the book. And there are some fantastic audiobook versions out there, both dramatized, however you say it,
Right.
and just read. Um, what that does, it means is that you're not having to figure out the tone of the story. Somebody else is doing that for you, so you
Hmm.
can see it in your head if you
Right.
want somebody to read it to you. But also, the dramatized versions have been really fun to feel more immersive, so that you can create your own pictures in your head if you want to.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not as daunting for people who may feel like the verbiage in
Right.
Austen's work is tough. And some of her books there are slow sections just because of the style of that time period.
Yes.
We're used to a faster paced story in our reading currently in this culture. and so her books can sometimes feel a little
Slower.
slow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people want something that will help move that along or help them still want to enjoy the story but don't feel like they can read the actual book, I strongly recommend things like that. I just finished listening to a dramatized version of Pride and Prejudice that is probably my favorite Darcy.
Oh,
And he is so likable. He's still his, you still have the arrogant arc thing that
right.
happens. But there is so much more to him in this
That's
version, and Lizzie's response to him is so much more. There's a beautiful gratitude between the two of them. It's really sweet.
Mhm.
But that's what I would encourage people to do because everyone has a different or has a different readiness for that
Right.
style of story. And I've found that when I'm teaching kids about it, I always encourage them to, if they feel overwhelmed by the actual reading of the book, to watch one of the movies first.
That's
Or listen to the audiobook first, and then okay, now let's read it because you have a picture in your head now. It will help you with understanding maybe,
the
and
world and the
yeah,
everything.
so
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that answer because I know that sometimes people are, Shakespeare is a bit more difficult, that's for sure. But a lot of people group them together up there, like it's that's a hard read, or like, but they want to read it. But so that's a good answer that I think people will like to start with and everything.
yeah, and I
Um,
think one of they should start with Pride and Prejudice if they're wanting to read it, just because the
okay.
pacing. It's her best paced book.
Oh,
Um,
great.
as
Yes.
as far as all of them, it's not my favorite, but it's her best paced book,
Okay.
and it's if you're diving in for the first time, it's probably the best one to dive into.
Okay, wonderful. And then which one is your favorite out of all of these?
It's gonna be one that's not a lot of people's favorite.
Okay.
Okay, so they're kind of tied. Emma, I love Emma,
Right.
and I love it because the character arc is so fantastic, and I'm a character reader and writer,
Yes.
and yeah, and so I also love Mr. Knightley, but
Oh yeah.
I I love how we get to see this growth from the beginning to the end in a pretty impressive way.
Yep.
Um, so I like that. You still get the banter, you still get the ridiculousness, you still get all that fun stuff.
Oh,
Um, so that one's probably right up near the top, followed quickly by Northanger Abbey. I
great.
love Northanger Abbey because it's so funny,
Oh,
and
that's
I love Henry Tilney. But again, heroes are really important to me.
yeah.
Pride and Prejudice is probably third, so
Okay.
it's probably that
Kind of in
spread.
there. Okay, that's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. I love asking that question because everyone's different.
Yeah,
And that's wonderful. Have you ever gotten a chance to go over and see her house in England?
not her house. I've been to Pemberley,
Okay.
which was wonderful, and I've been to Matlock, which she references in Pride and Prejudice. Derbyshire is where I've visited several times,
Yeah.
and so but I've not gotten to visit her house yet, and that is on my
Her
bucket
house
list.
is it's really cool to go there and see it and stuff. And then out in the garden, they had these really big hedge like bushes, like really
Mm-hmm.
big, like so tall. And it was just I was like I could imagine her out there.
That would be amazing. I've
Yeah.
been to Bath, right? Now I've got to go to the place where she lived for a little while she was in Bath, but I've not made it to Chawton House yet.
Yes.
Is it pronounced Chawton?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I've not made it there yet, but that's
It,
definitely a wish list
it's
thing.
beautiful. You have to go. Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah. And then so for your Appalachian stories, like have you started writing any of those right now?
I have three out. They're all based on family history,
Right. Those
and I'm getting ready to see if I can do another.
oh,
The first one came out with Barber in their Heart Belongs series, and so it was called My Heart Belongs in the Blue Ridge. But since I got my rights back, I've republished it as Laurel's Dream, and so it's the first book, and then there's the Heart of the Mountains, which is the second, and the one that just came out in October, which is Hope Like Wildflowers, which is based on my great great grandmother Kizzy's story.
wow.
So it was fascinating to get to take what I knew about her, the skeleton pieces I knew about her, and turned it into a historical romance story.
Wow.
And just last week, was the first time I actually got to see a picture of her because we've never been able to find a picture of her face.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I know. My aunt was visiting with family, and they were just looking through pictures, and they found one. She's older in the picture, of course. It's not
Yeah.
when she's young when I'm writing her, but it was actually her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I get to see her face, and that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh my word, I love that. And I geek out on history with the family history and stuff too. So I absolutely love that. And I know that in the Appalachians, there's a definite culture and a definite strong historical thread and love for that, the storytelling and everything. So what other things do you feel like you pull into those stories that are very Appalachian
Yeah. So
for
so
people
sort
that
of
might not be familiar with?
right. So the Appalachian Mountains are mountains that run from North Georgia all the way up through Pennsylvania, even more north, I think. And we are kind of separated by Southern Appalachia and Northern Appalachians. So people usually who are in the northern part of that mountain range pronounce it Appalachia, and the people who are in the southern part pronounce it Appalachia. And we usually tease people and say, if you don't say it right, I'll throw Appalachia. So, and so,
Funny.
um, having been raised in the culture and hearing all these family history stories and what life was like and asking questions to my granny, um, I like to bring in that culture. I like to bring in the accent. I like to bring in the mindset, which I think, which I think I like to do with any time period I write. But since this one is very dear to me
Hmm.
because things change very slowly in Appalachia because for a very long time, the people who lived here wanted to be isolated. They
Okay.
wanted to be separate from the outside world. And so 30 years ago, you could come back to the mountains and there would be people who were still not using running water, still didn't have electricity, we still had dirt floors.
Um,
And so,
Yep.
so that's the culture kind of has hovered and stayed in certain time periods for longer than other places.
Right.
And it's different now because more people are moving into the area and they're bringing their cultures and internet's available in most parts of it and but there's still this element of loyalty to family. It's very
Right.
Scots Irish, that clannish sort of suspicion of strangers, loyalty to family,
Interesting.
that yeah.
That's really interesting, kind of that you mentioned the Scots and Irish stuff. I've never thought of it like that, but that does make sense. I mean, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people in the area, that is kind of the ancestral roots, right?
Right. And it was interesting for me when I visited Scotland and England to actually hear words that we use in Appalachia that I thought were only Appalachian. And
Oh,
I'm hearing them and I'm going, hey, we use that word or we use that phrase.
that's so
Uh
funny.
huh. Yeah. So, and that's one of the interesting things this book I want to propose is about balladry because we were so isolated. Some of the songs and the ballads that came over early America were kept so pure in Appalachia because they weren't influenced by outside people
Yeah.
that there were researchers who came from England in the early 1900s to research their ballads in Appalachia. So
Ah,
that's what I'm
oh wait,
hoping.
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping to write something about that.
Oh my word, that would be really cool. Yeah, to think that they were so pure and still pretty much the same then as what they were like there. And that's just crazy. I love that though. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And you said you just moved back to Virginia, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hey, cool. So since this was sort of like a road trip and we're in Virginia with you now, where would you recommend people definitely check out if they've never been to Virginia or in your area of Virginia? Where would you say they should go and check out?
Okay. So I was in the southwestern part of Virginia, which is mostly forgotten when you travel in Virginia because it is the most rural part. A lot of people really, some places I'd tell you up front are some historical places, like you can go to Monticello, which is Thomas Jefferson's home. You can go to, oh my goodness, I just forgot George Washington's home
Oh yeah, Mount
name.
Vernon.
Mount Vernon is in Virginia. But some of the, if you like nature and the mountains, In the more middle part of Virginia, there's something called the Shenandoah Valley. It is absolutely gorgeous with Skyline Drive. It is just the most beautiful place with hiking trails, great bed and breakfast, places to just enjoy. Down in my neck of the woods, there also are some beautiful like trails to hike. We have the Blue Ridge Parkway still coming through us. You know, the Blue Ridge Parkway travels up from Georgia through North Carolina into Virginia, and I encourage people. You can check out the Peaks of Otter. That's near Lynchburg. Wonderful place to visit. There's a historic house here, like 10 minutes from my house, that I'm getting ready to go explore because they have they're an inn
Ooh.
and they are a restaurant. So whenever I go to visit them, I'll show you guys what that's like. And if people are passing by this way in Virginia, there's a fantastic place to eat and get a sense of the culture called
Ooh.
the Draper Mercantile. And it's just off the interstate, has great food, and a tea shop.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. I swear, on this road trip, I've been like hearing all these cute little places, and I'm like, I need to take off in my car right now. I live in North
Right?
Dakota, so it's gonna take a little while. But yeah,
You got a long drive.
right, exactly. But it sounds like so much fun. Yeah, finding all these new places and places to eat, tea shops, historical places that are like, this is so inspiring. I love it.
It is a beautiful place around here. You've got the tall mountains, and
Yep,
then you have the rolling hills, and so it's that where we are now, it's more of the rolling hills, and
yep.
then where we're in Asheville, North Carolina, you've got those beautiful mountains that are around, and
And
so
then if you were to go on a road trip, what is the number one book that you love? I know this is a really hard question,
oh,
not fair, right? If you could pick the one book that you have as a comfort read that you go back to over and over again, I love your response. Your face is like, oh, how could I pick? I know.
also a lot of my books are not in America, so I'm sitting here trying to think, how would I road trip there? I'm really trying.
Okay. Well, you can definitely fly and drive too. So,
So a lot of my favorite books, well, besides some classics that are American, like I love the book Christie that takes place
yes,
in these mountains, right?
I love that
So
book.
I've already been there, but it
Yeah,
is a, and you can visit the site where the real Christie lived and worked, but it's very hard to get to. You
really.
actually don't have self reception for about 2 hours while you're visiting out there because it is so remote in the mountains.
Oh.
Very fun though, and a great experience if you want to know what it's like to feel the isolation
Mm.
um, that these mountains can provide sometimes. Let's see. One of my favorite books that I've read within the last 5 years is Mimi Matthews' Gentleman Jim. That takes place in England, of course, and I love that book and reread it. I also reread, of course, I reread the Austen books.
Hmm.
They are my comfort reads. I pull them
Love
up,
that.
and I really enjoy them. I love reading. Interestingly enough, there's a Siri Mitchell book called Kissing Adrian. It's one that's older, but I adore it. I've got my favorite shelf. I'm tempted to look and see if I can find some books off of my shelf.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. You know, like almost all of them are in a different country. Okay, so one of my favorites that's in this country is Petticoat Ranch by Mary Keneally.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, and I've never been out west, so that has been on my wish list is to go. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. I've never been to the big mountains in Montana. I've never
Oh,
been
yes.
anywhere in that direction, and so
Okay.
I think if I could visit there, I would really enjoy that.
Pepper, can you share a little bit where people can find you online in your books?
Yeah, so you're always welcome to visit my website, which is pepperdbasham.com. I have a lot of, it should be pretty up to date and have information about current books, past books, and upcoming books. And then I love engaging with readers. It is one of my favorite things. So if you guys want to get in touch with me either through Instagram, Pepper Basham, Facebook, Pepper D Basham, really though, I'm very active on Instagram. And so if you guys wanted to follow me there, send me messages. I really enjoy that. And I'm so appreciative of readers sharing. So
Thank you so much for being a part of the road trip, Pepper. And I've loved following you and look forward to getting to know you even more and reading more of your books and everything. So you just thank you for being a part of this.
thank you for letting me join your journey here. So this has been
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. Absolutely. It was so much fun talking to you, Pepper. And I hope that we can chat again sometime soon. And it was absolutely so much fun to talk to you.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you too.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day.
You too.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for riding shotgun on the romance reading road trip. I'm so excited for you to be joining this journey with us. Be sure to go down to the video description below and sign up for the passport. You're not going to want to miss out on it.